Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Giant Take Podcast. Welcome to a winning episode of the Giant Take Podcast. In the fourth quarter, in the beginning half of the fourth quarter, I thought maybe we could actually record an episode like this. And then it just trended downhill all the way until one final play that would have sent this game into overtime. But instead, Bryce Ford Wheaton, out of all people, get a touchdown off of an amazing hop, skip, jump over the middle of the pile, the center, the gap. Isaiah Simmons with the field goal block to give the Giants a 29-20 victory. Welcome, everyone. We're going to talk about this game. I'm Josh. I'm joined by my friend and co-host, Alex. Alex, the juices are flowing. It's early. It's not that late. We're not recording super late like a primetime matchup. It's a Sunday night at 8 o'clock. I know we have classes tomorrow. I know the week's starting, but it's going to be a victory Monday. And that's what we want. That's all that matters. This team's even at 500, going into a game that we did not expect it to be close. We expected a Seahawks runaway win. We did not see that today. Alex, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm feeling good. Nothing like Victory Monday, and that's what we're all going to experience tomorrow or today when you're listening to this. So really excited, happy for Giants fans, along with myself and you, Josh, of course. But it was a tough one. It wasn't one that the Giants ran away with at the end, at least we should say, because the game was always there was about a 2-possession difference until the middle of the fourth quarter. It got tight. It got to 3 points. Seahawks got the opportunity to tie the game. And like you mentioned, Josh, just a fantastic block, but a very risky block as well by Isaiah Simmons. Because if he touches the center with his foot or he touches any of the linemen by accident, that's a 5-yard penalty. And the Seahawks get an automatic first down and they can continue driving, maybe even for a touchdown. So really risky, but risk to reward did end up working out there. And the Giants get a stop and a touchdown on that field goal attempt. So overall, very happy. Not a super clean game for the Giants. Mistakes were definitely made, especially towards the beginning, but they were able to overcome those and get the win. And that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Well, first of all, I'd like to address something I said already. I think I said the Giants are like even 500 or something like that. There's been 5 games in this season, so they are 2-3. My apologies there if I did say that, which I feel like I did. And Alex, let's go to that. The one and only score of the first quarter was a touchdown for the Seattle Seahawks. That very much should have been a touchdown for the New York Giants. A fumble early on the literal goal line by running back Eric Gray set the Giants back tremendously, set the Seahawks up for a touchdown on a platter because no Giants offensive player was chasing for a tackle. I don't know if everyone thought the play was dead or what we were doing, but Alex, it oddly seems similar to against the Cowboys a week ago when this Giant, well, I guess a little bit more than a week ago now, when the Giants were just allowing what was it? The CeeDee Lamb touchdown? Is that who scored? That was just very easy. Deontay Banks is kind of letting him walk into the end zone. We didn't know what was going on there. And it was oddly reminiscent of that. So that was the first quarter score, the only score of the first quarter, which really left us thinking, all right, yeah, that's been this season. That's going to be this game. And la-di-da-di-da. However, Daniel Jones decided to have a good game today. I'm really going to give praise to the Giants quarterback. Went 23 for 34, 257 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sure, a good amount of throws were him being a check down merchant for sure. Finding running backs outside the backfield for screen passes, etc. But on that one drive and that touchdown with Darius Slayton, those 2 plays, pinpoint passes. I know Slayton was obviously wide open on that touchdown, but pinpoint passes by Daniel Jones on that drive. I know I just went through a lot there, Alex, so I'll let you kind of break down what you want from that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was very frustrating in the beginning. Also, I think you forgot to mention the first play of the game. Daniel Jones trips on his own calf, I guess you can say, and falls over himself for a 15-yard loss. And the Giants are sitting there staring at second and 25, and you're like, oh, here it is, same old story. And then they kind of progress to that drive, get it all the way down to the 1 yard line. Eric Gray fumbles, and you're like, this is peak Giants football. This is just what the Giants do. This is what's happening. This is their luck recently, and this is how the game's going to roll. But like you said, Josh, they're able to get some drives going and get the offense moving. Daniel Jones was relatively accurate throughout the game, made some good decisions. Some of the other guys stepped up, like you mentioned, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, and even a little bit from the running backs as well, and Tyrone Tracy. A little bit's almost disrespectful. Quite a bit from Tyrone Tracy as well. In addition to Eric Gray, who made a couple of pretty nice plays on that first drive in particular.
And I mean, we moved down the list of the offensive players, as I mentioned his name already. Darius Slayton, you can't get much of a better game than we did from him. 8 catches, 122 yards, and a touchdown, 15 yards per catch. Slayton did go down this game. By the way, Slayton's been questionable throughout the week, being injured here and there the past couple of weeks. Plays this game, but then after a heavy hit on his final catch, goes off to the sideline, I should say, and was a little hobbled up after that. So I don't know if we'll get an update over the next few minutes on his condition, as we're literally recording this right after the game ends. But hopefully everything to do with Darius Slayton is okay. But what a factor for the Giants in this game today. Darius Slayton filling in the gap for the injured Malik Nabers, obviously still looking to return next week, we assume, from concussion protocol, as long as that works out well. But he was a good fill-in for sure. The longest tenured Giant that has been in connection with Daniel Jones, and they showed that today, like they have the past few years, right? I mean, we've seen this before, so nothing new with that connection, just kind of it blossoming for the first time that we've seen it this year, because Jones has been so heavily reliant on Malik Nabers to this point. So stuff we've seen in the past. And then Theo Johnson got involved as well. Not as many yards, but 5 catches for 48 yards, that is. And Wan'Dale Robinson, 6 catches, 36 yards, and a touchdown. And the Giants spread the ball today. And I will say that they had a running game too, Alex. Finally, we were able to see it. And we were able to see it from a youngster. And the rookie Tyrone Tracy Jr., the reason why the Giants drafted this guy was for him to have games like this. 18 carries for 129 yards. That's 7 yards per carry. The Giants had a passing attack. The Giants had a rushing attack. It's something that I really did not think I was going to be able to say on one of these recap episodes all season. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought it was just going to be the Giants have a passing attack, and his name is Malik Nabers. And that was it. But today we had both. One being a rookie, one being Darius Slayton. And it's something that I did not expect the combo to be, if at all.
Yeah, I kind of disrespected Tyrone Tracy a couple of minutes ago, funny enough, for 129 yards. It almost didn't feel like he had 129 yards in this one, but he was moving so fluidly throughout the field. He was getting big gains, big chunks, almost first downs at every run he had. So it really felt like he was moving the chains, progressing things. And like you mentioned, Josh, the running game was really fueled strongly, also in addition by the offensive line, which is something I'm always going to add in there, Josh, but they had a really, really good game. And they, were able to move, especially towards the edge. Some of the tosses were really working, whether it's either Illuminor on the outside or Andrew Thomas, or even inside with the guards as well. Some nice motion there with the offensive line, which I really hadn't seen in previous weeks. And they definitely cooked up some new schemes, as I can say, in some of those runs now that they had a Tyrone Tracy who's much more, I'd say, athletic, I think is fair, than Devin Singletary. I think we can all agree on that. So they were definitely able to move around a little bit more, design up some more interesting plays. And they definitely, relied a lot upon the running game and some of those quick passes, quick slants, quick out routes where they can kind of get the ball out of Daniel Jones's hands quickly, because they saw the Seahawks were rushing. They were bringing a lot of guys very often, even on early downs, first, second down, they were blitzing and getting the ball out early. So Daniel Jones doesn't have to make those tough decisions, I think was really key to the Giants being able to succeed today and, really get the ball going on offense. And, we didn't talk about this yet, but they scored 29 points, 30 points if you don't count the shenanigans at the end. They scored 30 points, Josh, which is not something that you see the Giants do often.
Yeah, Alex. I mean, that's what I was literally going to say. I feel like we kind of rushed through this offense, but I don't want to continue repeating everything. it's just like, it's so exciting because I don't know how many more times we're going to be able to sit here with a winning episode talking about the Giants had an offense, but I'm going to say it. Brian Dable's play calling, his scheme, whatever they decided to chew up for this week, maybe it was because they had such a long time being able to preview this Seahawks defense, seeing what they can expose from it, seeing what plays worked in practice. The Giants, maybe it was the 10 days. I don't know. But Brian Dable did something right today. I mean, I think he did a few things right. But if it's one thing specifically as a whole, he scripted up a very good play calling sheet for this game against the Seattle Seahawks. Really, really great job. Now, his players helped exceed that and bring it to higher levels, like a Tyrone Tracy, right? Like a Darius Slayton. But Daniel Jones did his job. Those drops, from those wide receivers, there are still a couple of them today. That still needs to be worked on. Wanda Robinson's got to catch the ball. Darius Slayton made up for his drop earlier in the game by towards the red zone in the first half. That's going to happen. It shouldn't be happening. We're in the NFL at this point. Jones is throwing it into their hands. They got to catch the ball. However, Daniel Jones played well today, and I really do want to give the quarterback credit because I don't know how many more times we will see him in a Giants uniform that I will be giving him credit. So today will be one of those days. This game will be one of those games, and the Giants had a very good offense. Now, with that being said, Alex, no, they should not have scored 29 points. And the reason I say that is because Wheaton should have taken a knee after that kick was blocked. However, the 29 points is 29 points. So I will definitely take it for, 100%. But just wanted to add that little tidbit in there. And if you have nothing else to share on the Giants offense, we can go ahead and move right along here after a quick break and talk about, again, something that's fun-filled, the Giants defense. We'll be right back, and we'll talk about them.
Yeah, getting into the defense now, Josh, they had a day, particularly on the defensive line. Dexter Lawrence credited with 3 sacks, of course, one at the very end, kind of more in garbage time on 4th down, but hey, they all count.
Garbage time. I mean, that was the seal. Like, he sealed the game fully. I know it was like already done, but I mean,
that's what I mean by garbage time. Yeah.
Yeah, but to cap it off like that, I mean, that was great.
Yeah, great performance from him. DJ Davidson had 2 sacks, credit to him. Brian Burns had a sack. Obviously, he had that huge play. And Kayvon Thibodeau also with half a sack, but he really got involved as well. Had a lot of near sacks, really set up sacks for some of the other guys more in the interior, like Dexter Lawrence or like a DJ Davidson. And they were just getting pressure on this Seahawks offensive line all day long. Geno Smith was always uncomfortable. He, to his credit, got out of the pocket, was able to escape some very near sacks multiple times. So you could see how elusive he still is despite his age. We actually talked about that in the preview. Josh was like, he's still pretty elusive despite being, 33 years old. And that was definitely something that came true in this
and
one.
What did I say, Alex, too? Sorry. Continue. I'm getting too excited.
No, what did you say? Now I'm curious.
Well, we talked about Geno Smith with his elusiveness, but what did we also talk about? If there's a game that the Giants defensive line is going to cook in, it's going to be against the Seattle Seahawks offensive line, that is ranked very low in the NFL. And that's exactly what they did today. That's literally what we talked on the preview, if I'm not mistaken, that the Seahawks O-line is ranked. I think I had Dexter Lawrence. I'm going to make sure, but I'm 90% sure that I had Dexter Lawrence as my player to watch in this game. Why? Because that Seahawks offensive line is like the 29th or 30th best in the NFL. Yes, I did. Giants, player to watch, Dexter Lawrence, in quotes. Seahawks, one of the worst O-lines in the NFL. So if there's a game that we're going to capitalize on it, it's this one. And that's exactly what my player to watch did in Dexter Lawrence with his 3 sacks. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm going to take some credit since we're doing victory laps over here. I had Tyrone Tracy, so 129 yards, 7 yards a carry or more. I think we both cooked on these players to watch this week. Most weeks we are not doing well at all, and most of our players do not do anything. But I think we did pretty good.
That's a lie because I just decided to ride the Malik Neighbors train. So I don't know what you're talking about, but the last 2 weeks before this that I had him, my player to watch, I just never changed it. So
you just never changed it? All right, fine. So you've been doing well. I've been struggling recently, but I had a good win this week.
Yeah, Devin Singletary, one of the weeks he had like 26 yards.
Oh, when -2 yards one weekend. Yeah, but I think defensively, it started all with the defensive line. But another guy I want to shout out, I've been criticizing him every week, so I got to give him his flowers as well. Deonte Banks, he's had a rough start to the season, but he made a couple of really big pass breakups on DK Metcalf, held DK Metcalf to 55 yards, 4 receptions. So a pretty solid game. But, he, I think, looked more up to the challenge in this one. I remember last season he really got fried by DK Metcalf on multiple deep routes, on slants, whatnot. He was just absolutely beaten at all times. And in this one, it looks like it was more of a competitive battle where both sides kind of got the better of each other at certain times. But Deonte Banks looked like someone who could cover a number one receiver like DK Metcalf. So shout out to him. And the DB room as well. Cordell Flott had a couple of nice PBUs. So I thought the DBs were really big in a game where obviously the Seahawks have 3 really, really good receivers in Metcalf, Lockett, and JSN.
Alex, I mean, let's go up on top of that too. Like upon that point, only 20 points for the Seahawks. And, you might say, well, it's 20 points. Look at this wide receiver room or just the weapons in general. Tyler Lockett, I know you could say he's getting older. He's 32 now, but still, that guy's a weapon. He led the team today, right? 4 catches for 75 yards. But Kenneth Walker at running back, along with DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith and Jigba, Noah Fant as our tight end. It really doesn't get better than those wide receivers as a grouping in the NFL.
And Geno Smith's a good quarterback. And Geno Smith's a very solid quarterback.
And he only threw one touchdown today. One touchdown today. One of those touchdowns that led to those 20 points, if you remember, that was a fumble recovery by their defense. So, keep that stuff in mind. This Giants defense did really well today. This defensive line did what we've been waiting all season for. And you know what? They've been doing it a couple times this year. I will give them credit for that. But today was the big, big moment for them. And we really do give them credit. I think we've done that here. And Alex, another thing that's not even in the stat sheet, really, I'm sure there's actually like a stat sheet for it, but the tips off the line of scrimmage, those guys getting their hands in the air, Nacho getting one late in the game when the Seahawks were driving down. I think that was the drive that they did get that touchdown after starting from the 5-yard line. But however, I remember he got a tip on Geno Smith. On that play. And I feel like there was a couple other tip passes knocked down at the line of scrimmage from that D-line too, if I'm not mistaken. So, that's another thing too that they did very well and successfully. So again, I don't want to, continue repeating just because we're super happy about the win too. I feel like at some point it gets a little annoying, but, Dexter Lawrence is truly remarkable. We've known this now for a couple years. And just alongside him, we saw, Kayvon Brian Burns and look at even DJ Davidson, alongside right in the middle there, stuffing the middle with Dexter Lawrence getting 2 sacks in today's game. Credit to him, man. So good job by this Giants team. Good job by this Giants defense. They played really well. Alex, I feel like you're itching to say something else.
No, I was just going to say sometimes you don't need to go on and on about a good game because it was just a good game and all these guys played well. And sometimes we're going to sit here rambling for 40 minutes because Daniel Jones was awful. And, I'm just throwing out random things. Darius Slayton, missed a catch, or Malik Neighbors didn't catch something, or Devin Singletary fumbled, but none of that stuff happened today. So we're here. We have nothing to complain about, really. Yeah. Obviously, there's, of course, many things that I'm sure Brian Dable is going to be all over the team about this week. But overall, it was a great performance on both sides of the ball and beat a really, really good team in the Seahawks, who have had a really strong start to the season and had really good momentum going with them, and a great offense and a pretty solid defensive unit with some young guys as well. So can't complain about a good win against this group. Now all I'll say is this is a good win. I wouldn't expect the Giants to perform at this level, throughout the rest of the season, because I do think this was a very good performance and everyone really did play at their 100%, even without Malik Neighbors and Devin Singletary. And I'm sure now the reaction is going to be Devin Singletary, no Malik Neighbors. They're going to be even better next week, which who knows? Maybe they will be. They're going to be under the lights Sunday Night Football. So some exciting stuff there. And I'd be interested to see how they do. And I think we'll be talking about that later in the week. And I'm excited to get into it now that we have a Giants win behind us,
Yeah, for sure, Alex. And, we obviously have to mention our third and final grouping
Of course.
of this team, because besides Smith Marset, who, didn't have like the greatest kicker punt returns today, and, same thing with Eric Gray. We saw Greg Joseph, a kicker that has been struggling for this team so far after the Graham Gano struggling with injury, went 3 for 3 today, had a 38-yard long field goal. Now, the field goals weren't tremendously terrible, like long to kick. So, he did his job. That's all we ask. He did his job. Jamie Gillen today had pretty good punts. He averaged 47 yards per punt. Pretty freaking good. Got one within the 20, within the 5 at that for that matter. So
Yeah.
Jamie Gillen today, good. And then, nothing will beat the final
Casey
play for the
Kreider,
win.
you were fantastic.
Casey Kreider made a tackle on a punt return. Yeah, there you go.
That's true.
So, Casey Kreider, shout out. And, shout out to the man himself, right? I think that really does it. I don't know how much more we can talk about Isaiah Simmons and his athleticism to, again, double jump, basically jump over the O-line and jump again to block that kick. And now I'm sure Brian Dable went over to Bryce Ford-Wheaton after that play and said, hey, listen, just go down next time. But, Bryce Ford-Wheaton's got to make his memory somewhere. So that definitely did it for him, I'm sure. We don't know how much time he's going to have as an NFL wide receiver. But today
he'll be showing that to his grandkids. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Alex, any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I would just wrap it up by saying I thought the coaching staff overall executed pretty well, had a good game plan. And I thought the players executed at a really high level, despite the big missing key players in Devin Singletary. And then obviously the key to this whole offense being Malik Neighbors. I was happy to see some more Darius Slayton, some more Wan'Dale Robinson, and really see Daniel Jones kind of go at it with the lack of weapons and that good O-line. And I think the main difference is if he had those weapons last year in the same O-line last year, he would not have been able to play as efficiently as he did today. And the O-line gave him a ton of time. They gave the running game a huge boost. And that, I think, was the difference between a game like this last year and a game like this year. So that's kind of what I would like to end it on.
Yeah. So, I mean, really good win by this team. Good overall play, offense, defense, special teams. And we now look towards the future, which you mentioned, Alex. The Giants are going to be in primetime again, Sunday Night Football next week against Cincinnati Bengals, who have just been so surprising and really confusing. And I mentioned confusing just more for this week because they lost to the Ravens today in overtime. The Baltimore Ravens, 41-38, a very high-scoring affair against a very good team. They lose to the Kansas City Chiefs by 1. They lose to the Patriots by 6. Commanders are looking like a powerhouse, so that 5-point win, okay, makes sense. And they beat the Panthers by 10. Just against the opponents this year, their 1-4 record is just very odd. And I
don't think it's fully representative of how good they are, but
so that's why I'm saying I think this is a very high-powering team, especially on offense, especially with how Jamar Chase did today. I mean, oh my God, his stat line was 10 catches, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think it's going to be another game that I'm worried for this Giants team. Today doesn't change that at all. The amount of surprise that came from this game at multiple areas is truly unbelievable. So I really don't know what to expect right now. And luckily we have 4 days to think about it before we preview it, Alex. Right? So that's nice at least. But besides that, I mean, that's the future for the Giants team right now. They sit 2-3, and they're just going into another game next week against the Bengals, prime time on Sunday night. No idea what to expect. Really, truly, I'm going to be completely honest, and I'm sorry because I know this is our job. Like we are, Giants podcasters, and we're supposed to give you the insights on the game. But really, after this win and after what the Bengals have looked like this season, I need to read more into it. I need to kind of figure out where they're at. But what I can tell you right now is this is a high-powering offense that you really don't want to disregard. So I don't think you can look into next week. For sure, you can't look into next week like it's a cakewalk. And I think it's going to be a very competitive matchup between these two teams.
Yeah, I completely agree. The Giants may have a better record at this time somehow, but the Bengals are definitely a better all-around team and definitely a better offense with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, all those guys, and then, of course, Joe Burrow, who definitely is still a very, very good quarterback in this league. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but sure, definitely excited to talk about that later this week. And Josh and I will both be sleeping on it, thinking about our thoughts going into it. So we have a great preview episode for a game that maybe has a little bit more impact on the Giants maybe this season than we initially thought before this one. So there you go. Little teaser, I guess. I don't know.
Giants beat the Seahawks 29-20 today. Wow. I'm going to say it again. I started the episode with that. I'm going to say it again. Wow. Thank you so much for listening and or watching this episode of the Giant Take Podcast. Follow us on our social medias at the Giant Take Pod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of those places. Alex on Twitter at Annoying23. I'm on Twitter at JoshOla29. And as I do, every episode, updating you on Syracuse volleyball as I cover them for the student TV station, Citrus TV. Unfortunately, another 2 losses this weekend. Still without a win in ACC play. 12-4 though on the year, so still looking pretty good.
Josh, what has happened? Where did the aura go, Josh? Where did it go?
They played top 25 teams, Alex. That's all I can say.
There you go.
Straight sets losses against. They didn't win a single set this weekend against SMU, 17th ranked, and then played the best team in the country in Pitt today. Wow, they look good. So that's my update there. Not good things from the volleyball team, but good things from this Giants team. That's what I'm excited about. I mean, listen, respectfully, I cover them. This volleyball team goes right out the window when the Giants win a football game. I mean, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it right now. Yeah. I mean, my frown turned right upside down, about 40 minutes ago when the Giants won this football game. So I'll tell you that much. Alex?
Yeah, there you go. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to today's episode of the Giant Take Podcast. Hope everyone has a great Victory Monday, a great victory week, and is looking forward to Sunday Night Football coming up, and we'll be there to cover that. Peace.